Hey, what is happening, guys? It's Roscoe here again with another flag capture locations guide for you. This time we're going to be hitting the Damavand Peak. Yes, everybody's favourite base jumping map. Unfortunately in Conquest there is none of that, but we do have 5 tasty flags to take over. So let's go ahead and get started from the US side working to the Russian side. Okay, so coming from US deployment, the first stop is Factory Valley. Now, as you enter Factory Valley, you want to head to your left. This spot here is probably giving me the most success to take over bases. It's kind of tucked away and not many people check there, so I recommend this as a very, very good location. Otherwise, if you want a bit more open areas to kind of flee, you can duck into this trailer, into this tray I should say, there behind the truck. Alternatively, this back area here you can also use, which is actually quite effective, and if need be you can always duck out just to have a bit of a look to see what's happening. Now if you're like me and you want to have a good visual over the base, just to see if there's any threats going on or any enemies approaching, this area is great. As you can see, you can duck up onto this stairway and get a bit of a higher look. Otherwise, if you do get fired upon, you've got some cover here at least for a little bit of protection. Places to avoid. Now these tall booth little thingies, buildings on either side of the entry to Factory Valley are absolute massively cannon fodder for tanks rolling past on the road, so you want to definitely avoid those. This area here is just to expose. I've seen a lot of people doing it there, and it's a bit silly because people from the Russian side are going to be right there. Now this spot here, I think when I first tried the Damavand Peak Conquest, this was like one of the first spots I tried, but I have experienced lots of people coming through this building and just, you know, either knifing you or just shooting you down. So in general, just avoid the main flag area as it's too open and you don't want to expose yourself too much. Okay, so approaching the south entrance flag, you can actually just head up these stairs here. I always like to look ahead just to see what's actually happening at the base before I just suicide in there and try and take it over. So this gives you just a little platform just to have a quick squiz, just to make sure that there's no tanks, you know, just sitting there waiting for you, of course. Otherwise, you can also run around to the left-hand side here, just up to these rocks. And just, you know, just sit on top of them, so that way you can at least have a good look. I mean, you won't take over the base here, of course, but at least just gives you a nice viewpoint, just to make sure that the coast is clear. Now, the best places I've experienced here, the rule of thumb is outskirts. Always think outskirts of the base, so you don't want to sit on the flag and around the flag where people are going to expect you. So just here you can notice it only works on the rocks. Okay, the ticking only starts on the rocks, so here is really good, and you can have a look through the tunnels just to see if there's any enemies approaching, of course. Alternatively, just at the front of the tunnels here, there's this little door which leads through to a passage that goes all the way through to the tunnel. I'll explain more about that later. That's really good just because you don't expect someone to be there and people just kind of run out and you can just kill them. So, and then you've also got this side area just near the rocks, which is also quite effective. Places to avoid, as I said, avoid the inner flag areas, so stay on the outskirts and don't bother trying in here because it's the first place people look. Alright, so approaching C, tunnel flag. Now from the south entrance there are a left and a right hand side passageway that go all the way through to the other side of the tunnel, and the right hand side, as you can see, takes you straight to the base. So the passageways are great just to avoid the road and obviously tanks that might be there. As for good locations, this particular building is a great one. However, the adjacent building has a few more windows, so that'll give you just a little bit more of a visual over your base, just so you can see if there's any enemies approaching, and I would advise that building over the other one. Now, this container here is a little bit of a nervous one as it's open on both ends, so you kind of have to watch your back, but still a great location because it's a little bit dark. Otherwise, if you want to stay completely out of the way, just behind this gas canister here. The bad side, of course, is that you can't really see a heck of a lot, but alternatively you can just sort of, I guess, jump out there and just have a little bit of a look, but this is a good location. Places to avoid now, the bottom buildings here. Although the top buildings are pretty good, the bottom buildings get heavily policed, so be careful. And this area just around the pipes is also quite a highly trafficked area and quite easy to be seen, so definitely avoid that. Yes, that's right. The secret's revealed. Yes, that was a little bit dramatic, but for 20 points, can anyone tell me what the heck is happening here? Okay, so I'm right on top of the flag, and yet it is not ticking. And now it is. Yes, that is right. You cannot prone and or crouch at all in the tunnel when you try to take over the base. It will not allow it. So I can only assume that DICE have put that in as a prevention for people, you know, proning in a really dark corner and no one ever being able to find them or see them. So it is really, really dark in the tunnel. So I think it's actually a really good thing they've done. As you can see, it does work in the buildings, so you can prone and crouch on these buildings and on the stairwell and stuff here. So that will work fine, but anywhere else it will definitely not work. Like, I mean, for example, the container that I showed you before, as you can see, I stand up and it starts ticking straight to the ground and it stops. So hopefully, you know, this guys will give you, I guess, a little bit of help with this one, because it's definitely something I didn't know before I started really analyzing this area. Okay, so headed to the northern entrance from the tunnels. You want to take the passageways. As I said, avoid the roads at all costs. There will be tanks, and if you're really unlucky, a little bird will be hovering through that tunnel, as some people do. Now this rock face here on the left hand side is a great little lookout. Otherwise, when you come out the right hand side passageway, this hill here also provides a nice visual across the base, just to again make sure the coast is clear and make sure there's no enemies waiting for you. Good areas to try out. Now, if you head up here just on this side of the excavator, I've had great success here actually, so not many people tend to see you there, so it's definitely one to try out. Alternatively, if you want a little bit more cover, you can come up to this side of the tunnel. Now you do have that wall just there to provide a little bit of shelter, as well as this big pile of sand to sort of act as two things. You can jump up on top of it to have a look, as well as hiding behind it for cover. Now these spots anywhere along here are a little bit risky, although you know you can tempt fate and try and hide in the weeds. And this particular bit here, if you want to try a little bit of stealth ninja, give it a go, but just be aware it is high risk. Places to avoid. Now, countless kills I've had where people are literally just proning right next to the flag, so mainly because I assume they don't know any of the outskirt areas they can take over from. So avoid right next to the flag there. Now I know this area I pointed out before, but avoid being completely exposed and standing on this hill. And also next to this truck here, it's okay for cover, but I found a lot of people look there very quickly, and when they approach the base, it's one of the first places they look for, so be very aware of that. Alright, so the last base we're going to be looking at is the mining area, which is the closest to the Russian deployment. Now if you head up the left hand side here, it's a good hill just to have a look out, of course, and on the right hand side you can also get a nice lookout, but if you come up to these little things here, you can jump up on top and you can actually enter the base this way as well. Okay, so good places to be at the mining area. Now these buildings here, although yes, I won't lie, tanks will love to blow them up, there's not really a lot of outskirt areas unfortunately for the mining area, so these are a good little hidey hole, just to at least be invisible. If you would like to have a bit more of a visual over sort of what's happening around you, the main building right next to the flag, and yes, it will be heavily policed, but you know, with no outskirt takeover zones, it's probably your best bet, and I guess we'll just have to make do. The back areas here you want to definitely avoid. Now, reason being is they tick on the stairwell, but they don't tick inside the building or at the back where these dumpsters are. Same thing with over here. Now this is the Russian deployment side. Where you've got cover, it won't tick, and then when it starts to be in the takeover zone, you're exposed right in the middle of the road. So, and of course here, definitely be in the building, not outside the building to avoid any fire. Well, that is it for now, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this and found it helpful, please hit that like button. And of course, if you'd like to see more, subscribe. I do plan on doing more of the maps in Battlefield 3. So if you want to check those out, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And until then, guys, take care.